Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the InnerViews. In today's video, we're going to briefly break down Euro 2020 qualifying's Group H big clash between France and Turkey and assess how France tried to break down a Turkish side that had only conceded 2 goals in qualifications in their 2-1 loss to Iceland. But before we do that, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. But now, let's get to the starting lineups. We look at France, more of a 4-2-3-1. Ben Yedder up front, ahead of Coman, Griezmann, and Sissoko, and in midfield, then went Tolisso and Matuidi. Then we get to Turkey, more of a 4-1-4-1 with Yilmaz up front, Tufan and Karaman out in the wider areas, and in midfield, then with Kaveci and Tekdemir ahead of Yokuşlu. So now, let's get to the first half, see how both sides look to approach the game, and where France found weaknesses in Turkey's backline. So when we break down France against Turkey, most of the game was about how France would find a way to break down this Turkish backline. Turkey didn't need to win the game, and if they did draw, they would stay ahead of France in the group. And with France missing so many key players, this was a perfect opportunity for Turkey to possibly snag 3 points in a very tough environment. When we do look at the board and we break it down, we have France initially dropping off into 2 banks of 4, and what they wanted to do was ensure that they had Turkey's center backs on the ball in Söyüncü and Demiral, and they were trying to get Turkey to pull out so that they could break on the counterattack. They had Griezmann and Ben Yedder sitting in between Yokuşlu, and they dropped off into 2 narrow banks of 4. The midfield battle is set as it is on the opposite side. Tekdemir against Tolisso, against Matuidi, Tolisso against, you have Kaveci there, and then in the wider areas you have Sissoko and you have Coman looking to step out to the fullbacks. The problem with Turkey is that they were unable to successfully create a chance in open play, and on the counterattack they were unable to get in behind France's backline, and that's why this first half specifically was all about France. When we do break it down and we look at it, we did have Turkey again, like I said, in a 4-1-4-1 without the ball, very narrow, and like I said, the same midfield battle was set in stone. You had Griezmann trying to get onto either side of Yokuşlu when the ball was played in between the lines, and he did get the ball in between the lines in different situations. We'll get to that in a minute. And it was mostly about him running beyond Yokuşlu rather than dropping off to the right or the left and receiving the ball and playing a penetrative pass. We saw Sissoko dropping in between Karaman and Kaveci to try and get the ball in central positions. On the flip side, you did see Coman drop off narrow a bit too to take out Celik, and that would push Hernandez forward. And we often saw Tolisso and Matuidi dropping off deeper to get on the ball. And that's because Tekdemir and Kaveci weren't stepping deeper to press them, and that allowed them to pick up the ball in deeper positions. And we often saw Tolisso in the first half trying to play long diagonals over the top, and we saw that on 2 occasions where he played them over Merdash for Sissoko breaking in behind him, and on 1 occasion he nodded a team effort on goal. On the 2nd occasion, Merdash did a good job to ensure that he was unable to get the ball in a dangerous position. But we really break down France's chances. A lot of them stemmed down the left-hand side, and that was based off the fact that Tufan was very narrow and not picking up the runs of Hernandez, and that's where a lot of their attacks did stem from. When we look to the first example, it's Lenglet stepping forward, and what we have is Kaveci and Tekdemir did swap to either side of Yokuşlu, and what happens there is that Kaveci eventually steps to Lenglet. What happens now is that you have Griezmann dropping off into space in between Tufan and Yokuşlu, and we have Lenglet slide the ball into Griezmann, who instantly pokes it out into the path of Hernandez. When Hernandez gets on the ball now, that pulls Celik into his path, and we see the run of Griezmann in between Tufan and Yokuşlu. So Griezmann continues his run, Celik is pushed into the path of Hernandez, and Hernandez instantly plays the pass into Ben Yedder, who pulls out Demiral, and he backheels the ball into the path of Griezmann, who gets away from Demiral, breaks free on goal, should beat the keeper, but his shot is denied, and then the rebound falls to Sissoko breaking towards the box, and he's also denied by the keeper. Great movement by France. You see the switch out from Griezmann pulling out markers, driving in. Hernandez pulling out the right back. Great movement from Ben Yedder, who struggled throughout, but did have some positive link play with his teammates, and that was one of the better opportunities that stemmed from it. Shortly after that, it's Longley again stepping out of the back, and what we end up seeing here is Tufan steps into the path of Matuidi, who was dropping deeper to cut off that passing lane, but he shouldn't do that because now Tekdemir stays in his natural position and keeps their shape, but it frees up space for Hernandez. Coleman had already dropped off narrow to pull out Celik, so when the pass from Longley hits to Hernandez, Celik has to shift out into that space. Now you have Hernandez running at him, and you have Coleman making a lateral run across the center back Demiral into space behind Celik. Hernandez plays that pass into him, and Celik does do well to track the run and recover, and with the center backs and Ben Yedder breaking to the box, it allows Griezmann to also charge forward. When Coleman breaks to the byline, he delivers a pullback cross into the box for Griezmann unmarked, but he nods a tame effort at the keeper. Like I said, again, exploiting space down the left-hand side, Hernandez and Longley involved, Griezmann at the end of it, but again, unable to beat the goalkeeper. So when we look to the final example of France breaking down Turkey, on that left-hand side, we do see Tolisso square the ball out to Matuidi, which does pull out Tekdemir. And again, Matuidi locates a run of Hernandez running off the narrow Tufan, and he plays the ball into him. But even before he plays the ball into Hernandez, we had, again, Coleman moving a bit narrow, and we also saw Celik track him. So when the ball is played out to Hernandez, Celik eventually shoots out to Hernandez, and with Tekdemir out of position and Celik out of position, that is where Tufan should be tracking the run of Coleman to ensure that Turkey have all numbers occupied on that right-hand side. He doesn't. Hernandez hits a first-time ball into a narrow Coleman. You have the center backs being pulled out by Ben Yedder, and when Tufan eventually recovers, that's when we see a square ball across the edge of the box for Griezmann, who did run off of Yokushlu once again. Griezmann dummies it, Meraj misses it, and it falls to Sissoko breaking into the box. But again, another tame side-footed effort at the keeper, and France should be up a few goals here, just unable to capitalize in the final third. Eventually, we did see, around the 30-minute mark, we did see Turkey try to fix that issue by switching Tufan out to the left-hand side and moving Karaman to the right, and it did work because as the game wore on, we eventually saw Tolisso, who was initially trying to play long diagonals over Meraj for Sissoko, trying to play it over into that space for Hernandez on the overlap, and he tried to clip it over Karaman, and although Hernandez did get the ball initially, Karaman tracked well and he did clear the lines for a corner kick. Besides that, France did have a few opportunities stemming through Griezmann. We looked at two examples in particular involving Griezmann, and the first one does see Matuidi in Turkey's half slide the ball in between Kvechi and Tekdemir to find Sissoko breaking in between. That means that Tufan was playing to the right of Yokushlu to get him out of those wider zones. And when Sissoko gets on the ball, he does locate Griezmann in a narrow position ahead of Meraj. What helps him out here is that Pavard makes an overlapping run to pull out Kvechi. And when he pulls out Kvechi, what we end up seeing here is Griezmann making the run across Meraj, across Yokushlu, and across Tekdemir to curl an effort inches wide of the net. And that's one opportunity that perhaps Griezmann on another day does score. When we look to the final example, it's Tolisso again dropping off a bit deeper, and he splits with the pass, he splits Tekdemir and Tufan to find Griezmann to the left of Yokushlu because Matuidi was on the right. So that's an overload there because of Tolisso's pass. Griezmann again breaks forward, ends up bypassing Soyuncu to find Ben Yedder posted up against Demiral. But when he gets the ball back, Demiral makes a vital intervention to ensure that Griezmann can't put France up 1-0. When you break down the first half as a whole, Turkey not offering much, but in their defensive approach, it did make sense, but Tufan's positioning allowed France too many chances down the left-hand side, and as the half wore on, Griezmann was winning his battle with Yokushlu, getting the ball in dangerous positions, but like I said, France unable to make the difference in the final thirds. So when we look to the second half, we did see Turkey make a tactical change. We had Çalhanoğlu come in for Yokuşlu, and now they became more of a narrow 4-4-2 with Tufan and Tekdemir in midfield. One of the reasons why they had Çalhanoğlu come on was based off the fact that they could have him sit near Tolisso, who was dropping off deeper and playing deep diagonal balls, and also because he does offer them another attacking threat in a game that they possibly felt that they could steal. Besides that, when you look at it, we did see Kaan Ayhan come on for Çelik, and he moved out to right back based on an injury. But in the second half, there were very few chances created prior to Giroud's opener, and that was based off the fact that when you look at Turkey's shape, they were in two narrow banks of four. When they did drop off a bit deeper, they try to get Yilmaz and Çalhanoğlu to block off the passing lanes to Matuidi and into Tolisso. But for the most part, because they were so narrow, France were often shifting out into wider areas, getting Pavard and Hernandez on the ball. If Coleman or Sissoko drifted out into those wider areas, they were on it. And even Griezmann sometimes drifted out into those wider areas. But when they constantly delivered balls into the box, there was no real challenge for the Turkish center back pairing in Demirel or Soyuncu, who constantly won aerial balls into the box. When we look to the two chances that were created, it just stemmed from simple breakdowns from both sides. The first one, you end up seeing Tolisso get the ball in a central position, and he's able to peel off of Çalhanoğlu and slide the ball out wide into the path of Hernandez, who for the first time skipped away from his marker in Karaman. So now he's able to run at goal based off the fact that Coleman made a run that dragged out Kaan Ayhan, and we also saw Ben Yedder make a run across Demirel that put him in a position where he didn't know whether to go to his runner in Hernandez or follow the run of Ben Yedder. Eventually, you have Hernandez lash an effort wide of the net. When we look to Turkey's best chance, and arguably the best chance of the game in that second half prior to Giroud's opener, we do see Kaan Ayhan winning a challenge with Matuidi following a Griezmann dive, and Karaman ends up picking up the loose ball, clearing his danger and clipping the ball in towards half for Çalhanoğlu, peeling off Lenglet. Lenglet eventually does win the header, but he nods it into the path of Yilmaz, who is able to hold off Varane and drop off the ball to Kelechi, who's looking to break forward. When he drops off the ball to Kelechi, what ends up happening there is that now we have an issue, because what the issue is that Hernandez is very high. You have Lenglet with Çalhanoğlu, you have Varane out of position, and basically you have a big gap in between Pavard and Lenglet. Çalhanoğlu does make that run across, but rather than running offside, he peels back and tries to peel off the shoulder of Lenglet, and that's where Kelechi plays that long ball towards. As he's playing that long ball, we do see Yilmaz continue his run in between Tolisso and in between Varane to dart into that space between Lenglet and Pavard doesn't shift over. What we see now is Çalhanoğlu instantly guides that ball from Kelechi across Lenglet into the path of Yilmaz to break free on goal, but he fires his effort over the net, and that was Turkey's best chance of the game prior to Giroud's goal, and they should have put themselves up 1-0 there. Eventually, we do see the change. Giroud comes on for Ben Yedder, provides a focal point, and within minutes, he makes his impact. When we look to Giroud's opener, we see the impact that he instantly presents to this France front line. What we end up seeing is Kelechi breaking forward and eventually being closed out by Matuidi at the edge of France's box, and he backheels the ball into Sissoko, who slides it out to Pavard. Pavard now is able to break forward because Kelechi is caught, and although he does try to track that run, what we see is Pavard slides the ball out to Sissoko, who now runs at Meraj in the right channel. Eventually, Sissoko delivers a super ball across the center backs into the path of Demirel, who nods the ball off his hand, and it does go out for a corner. It possibly should have been awarded a penalty for the handball, but what we do see in that play is that the cross into the box would have not been attacked well if we had Ben Yedder or Griezmann running at it. Giroud's presence provided pressure on both of the center backs, and it forced them to make a mistake. And shortly after that, we did see Giroud tower over Kaan Ayhan and Tufan to nod the Griezmann Griezmann's corner into the back of the net, and that's how France were able to take the lead. Eventually, we did see Lamar come on for Matuidi, and we saw Sissoko move into a right central role, with Coman moving out to the right-hand side and Lamar out to the left. But eventually, we did see Turkey get their equalizer from a set piece, and it did stem from the fact that we did see Tufan step forward and slide a ball in between Tolisso and in between Griezmann to find Kvechi, who was able to hold off Tolisso and then brush off Griezmann, who eventually tackled him. From that foul that did see Griezmann get booked, they did win a free kick that Çalhanoğlu delivered superbly to the back post that Kaan Ayhan nodded past Mandanda. Prior to that free kick, we did see Tosun come on into the game, and he moved to the left-hand side, and again, Turkey changed their formation, moving to a 4-1-4-1 with Tekdemir at the base, and we saw Çalhanoğlu and Kvechi move into a central role as they try to close out the game. The only final change that France made was bringing on Ikone for Coman, and he did force the keeper into a save in the final minutes of the game, but besides that, Turkey came to France, got a point, still sit at the top of Group H, and when you really break it down in Euro qualifiers, took 4 points from the champions and now deserve a place, an automatic place in Euro 2020. But let me know what you guys think. Can Turkey be a major contender at Euro 2020 this summer? And what about France? Yes, they were missing a lot of key players, but can Didier Deschamps once again guide these group of players to a Euro 2020 final and this time win it? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget I upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Like I said, if you did like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.